My question kinda to piggyback off of that, if people are on their phone driving in an accident or in that situation, how do investigators or lawyers or whoever prove that? Like, how do you
Yep,
prove they were on their phone?
sure. So with all of our cell phones, there is something, it's called the metadata. So you can literally get, and it's usually through a subpoena, but we can send to a cell phone carrier that we want all this data from that person's cell phone, and it'll show like what they were doing when they were doing it. Now, on a much more general level, you can get, just showing like if they had been texting, right? Because if you know what time the accident was, basically, then you can start looking at, okay, what was going on in the few minutes beforehand, texting, on a phone call, whatever it was. As far as like if you're using apps and stuff like that, you got to get into this metadata, but it can show like what was running and things like that. And so that becomes important because, shockingly, most people aren't going to just freely admit that they were on their phone. I just had one recently where, and we didn't have to get far enough into it because we ended up settling it, but clearly this kid was not paying attention, or otherwise the accident would not have happened, or he certainly wouldn't have. He would have applied his brakes at some point. We were able to get what's called the black box data off the vehicle. So every vehicle has a recorder in it. And if there's a collision, it automatically records what was going on in the 5 seconds before the collision. It shows speed, it shows braking, it shows other things like that, seatbelt usage, all kinds of stuff. And he never stopped, he never applied his brakes. So then my argument was, well, he clearly was distracted. He clearly was either on his phone. Well, his story was he had GPS on, but it was in his console. And again, we never got down the road far enough to find out, was he truly just using GPS? Was he doing something more? But you just started putting all those things together to try to dial in on what's going on with that driver at the time of the accident.